They looked at you and saw silence. They saw hesitation. They saw someone who didn't speak loudly enough, didn't boast enough, didn't demand attention, and they made a fatal mistake. They underestimated your mind. They thought your quiet was weakness. They thought your patience was fear. They thought your restraint meant you had limits. They didn't see the storm gathering behind your eyes. They didn't hear the war drums beating in your chest. They didn't realize that while they were laughing, you were learning. They thought they were ahead. They had no idea you were building. They expected you to crumble. When they ignored you, they expected you to beg. When they doubted you, they expected you to shrink. When they mocked your dreams, they expected you to abandon them. They thought pressure would break you. They thought isolation would starve you. They thought betrayal would poison you. But what they didn't understand is that pressure creates diamonds. Isolation creates focus. Betrayal creates wisdom. They expected you to drown in chaos. Instead, you learned to breathe underwater. While they were busy watching your steps, hoping you would trip, you were studying the terrain. You were memorizing patterns. You were understanding human nature. You were sharpening the one weapon they could never confiscate, your mind. They thought strength was loud. You knew real power is silent. They thought intelligence needed applause. You knew it needed discipline. They expected a reaction. You gave them observation, and that confused them. There were nights when the world felt heavy, nights when their words echoed in your head like thunder in an empty valley, nights when doubt tried to creep into your bones and whisper, maybe they're right. But even in those moments, something inside you refused to die. You questioned yourself, yes. You felt pain, yes. You were human. But you were also evolving. Every insult became fuel. Every rejection became redirection. Every closed door became a map to a better entrance. You started reading more, thinking deeper, moving differently. You stopped reacting impulsively and started responding strategically. You became less emotional and more intentional. You realized something powerful. The battlefield was never outside. It was always in the mind. And once you mastered your thoughts, you mastered the game. They saw you quiet down. They thought you were defeated. In reality, you were recalibrating. You weren't withdrawing. You were gathering strength, like a bow being pulled back before the arrow is released. You were being stretched. And stretching hurts. Growth hurts. Transformation hurts. But breaking, that never happened. Instead, you became dangerous in a way they couldn't predict. Because you stopped trying to prove yourself and started improving yourself. Did they really think you'd stay the same after everything? Did they think the fire wouldn't change you? That the storms wouldn't carve something sharper into your spirit? They watched you go through chaos and assumed you were falling apart. They didn't realize you were being reforged. Steel doesn't complain about the fire. It becomes stronger because of it. And you walked through flames with your head high. You began to see through illusions. You recognized manipulation. You sensed envy behind fake smiles. You understood that not everyone clapping for you was rooting for you. Your mind became sharper than their opinions, and that's when the power shift happened. They started noticing the difference. You were calmer, unbothered, strategic. Their words didn't sting like before. Their actions didn't shake you. Their absence didn't wound you. You had reached a place they couldn't control. And nothing terrifies insecure people more than someone they can't control. They whispered about you. Who do they think they are now? They've changed. They're different. Yes, you are different. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped chasing validation. You stopped shrinking to make others comfortable. You realized something revolutionary. You don't need their approval to evolve. And that realization, it shook them. You began to move like a chess player in a room full of checkers. While they focused on one move, you saw 10 ahead. While they reacted emotionally, you responded logically. While they tried to outshine you with noise, you outmaneuvered them with silence. Your mind became your sanctuary. You protected it. You fed it knowledge instead of gossip. You fed it discipline instead of distraction. You fed it vision instead of fear. And slowly, your reality began to reflect your inner transformation. Opportunities started appearing. New alliances formed, doors opened that they didn't even know existed, and they watched, confused, because the version of you they underestimated no longer existed. You had outgrown their expectations, you had outgrown their limitations, you had outgrown them. There was a moment, maybe you remember it, when everything clicked, when you realized you weren't behind, you weren't unlucky, you weren't incapable, you were simply early in your evolution, and now you walk into rooms differently, your posture speaks before you do, your energy shifts the atmosphere, your silence commands more respect than their loudest arguments. They feel it, that unshakable presence, that calm confidence, that inner certainty. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. You know who you are now, you know what you bring to the table, and you're no longer afraid to eat alone. That's the level they never expected you to reach, because they thought your mind was ordinary. They didn't see the strategist, the philosopher, the visionary. They didn't see the architect building an empire within. And here's the truth that hits hardest. You didn't become powerful because they supported you. You became powerful because they didn't. Their doubt forced you to believe in yourself. Their absence forced you to depend on yourself. Their betrayal forced you to understand yourself. Every time they tried to corner you, your mind found an exit. Every time they tried to label you, your mind rewrote the definition. Every time they tried to limit you, your mind expanded beyond the cage. You stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking, "What is this teaching me?" That question changed everything, because once you see life as a teacher, not a punishment, you become unstoppable. Now look at them, still talking, still comparing, still trapped in the same cycles. They underestimated your mind because they only understood surface-level thinking. They mistook kindness for weakness. They mistook patience for passivity. They mistook silence for ignorance. But you were observing, analyzing, calculating, and growing. While they were comfortable, you were uncomfortable on purpose, learning, stretching, expanding. While they were entertained, you were educating yourself. While they were distracted, you were disciplined. And discipline beats talent. Discipline beats noise. Discipline beats doubt. You became the storm they prayed wouldn't form. There's something powerful about someone who has nothing left to prove. You don't argue like you used to. You don't react like you used to. You don't chase like you used to. Because you understand leverage now. You understand timing. You understand energy. You no longer waste your brilliance trying to convince blind people to see your light. You let your results speak, and they are loud. Your growth is loud. Your peace is loud. Your success is loud, even in silence, especially in silence. They underestimated your mind, and now they're trying to figure it out. But here's what they'll never fully grasp. Your power didn't come from revenge. It came from refinement. You didn't rise because you wanted them to regret it. You rose because you realized your potential was too sacred to ignore.